Okay, and clear.
All right, I've got a slide here. It is 7 o'clock, July 28th, 2025. Call the Newfields Select Board into action here. What did I say, 25?
It's the 8th,
Clear.
July 8th, you said the 28th.
It is 7 out of 5 ballots are dyslexic. All right, first item on the agenda, we don't have anything for correspondence discussion, no ex officio, because we've not had any board meetings since last select board meeting. Checks say we're going to hold off on the checks and the manifest. We do have a land use change here for one of the residents in town. And it is, it's a new corporation. You should have it in your paperwork there. Spring. And there is an amount of remittance to the town on the last page. Does anybody have any issues with this? It's a good thing it's bringing money in.
Mhm.
You good?
And the changes for, sorry, I should have looked before, but it's changing out land use change to go from,
It's an acreage change.
oh, okay, just, okay,
If no issues, I'll make a motion. We accept this.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. One signature there. Going to hold off on June revenue expenses. When you're ready, prior meeting minutes, there are a couple corrections that I gave to Keisha, the minor ones. I'll wait for you ready, Mark. On page 3, in regards to the new road bridge repairs and the railroad tie removal, just an update again that it'll be another request to remove them. On the next to last paragraph, talking about the traffic at Route 85 and Route 108 instead of Route 33. And on 399 on the next to last page, talking about 399 Piscassic. Brian has gone up there and he has cleaned all the junk out of there.
That's good.
So now it'll be whacked and mowed, and Mr. Beauchesne has till the weekend, and then that's his last opportunity. On the next page, the next to last page, Primex Insurance Safety Survey. Hobie informed the select board, not Police Chief Young, as to it, so it just changed it to the select board. And those are the only changes that I had of note. Keisha, did you have any others or?
No.
Nothing? Mark? Okay, in that case, I'll make a motion. We accept the meeting minutes of June 26, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moving right along here. All right, couple status reports. We'll hold that till later. Mr. Freem, Library AC unit. Did you want to start off, Win, or do you want us to jump right into it?
Why don't you guys jump right into it?
So I did some research on this. In the fall, we discussed talking about redoing the HVAC needs for the library, and that did not transpire. Just a quick overcap for the record. 2025 budget request was 73,000 and the appropriation was 68,000. And as of right now, or effective 31 May 25, correction, library line 45500, specific line number 430 has $1,000 in it for repair and maintenance. We have 3 proposals that you brought in. 2 of them have expired. One of 29 May 25 expired, the 3 June 25 expired, and the key estimate was done in December 24. So that would have probably been, with the increases in price, probably been a moot point to move on that one. One of my questions when we had our meeting on 24 June, you and myself, Jack and Bill Meserve, we talked about Friends of the Library and you referenced that they cannot do capital improvements.
That's my understanding.
Sir?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right on that, but that's my understanding.
It's
I've done some research on that too.
my thought process on that. If they want to put an addition onto the library, that's a capital improvement.
That would be correct. So for reference and context, it's a public building. So if they wanted to do an addition, a parking lot, they would go through the town, which it has in the past. So when I first became trustee of the library, Kim Crisp and I and Lauren Hunt, I believe, was trustee, we added a children's room that's in there now. It was a smaller driveway. There was no driveway, nothing. So we added that, and we had money from trust. We had a trust fund that the RSA just gone and said you have to pay out. You have to spend your money, any capital gains you have to spend. That was a new RSA from federal, state, etc. So we got money from that. The Friends matched it, and then we asked the town, I think, for $5,000. Don't quote me on that. Some of that money. So between all that, we encumbered this addition, right? Capital gains. Years later, we extended the driveway. We used Friends money, right? Definitely got my wrist slapped for that. Didn't know. My bad. We extended the driveway, caused a bit of commotion, but we added the driveway, like 30 by 30 tall. I don't know, no idea. So it's like, oh, should have come for the town, didn't just use the Friends money. So it's like, okay, great. Learned that the hard way. So it's like, great. Now we have, we have this air conditioning system that's dead, right? So got 3 quotes. That's the right process. Got 3 quotes, right? I'm not professing I know anything about air conditioning, but I learned a bit, right? I just wanted to fix what we had. We got some offers to do other kind of splits and things. Anyway, you guys got the quotes. Air conditioning subsequently died since then. Like it's limping along. Brittany brought in her own air conditioning and fans from home. We had a bit of a conversation at the library one night on the rain gardens. It was a different 24th. Yeah, so that was good. And there's solutions, right? But your question, Hobie, is can the Friends do this? I think the answer is yes, from my research. So if you call for trustees, there's the NHLTA, which is New Hampshire Library Trustees Association. And there's a woman there, Terry Knowles, who I've spoken to over the years here and there, very wise in all RSA matters and what to do. And unfortunately, she was busy this week, so I didn't get a hold of her. I think we could go to the Friends and ask them to fix the air conditioning.
So here's the
Not a capital thing.
It's not an improvement, it's a repair.
It's maintenance. So the question comes down to is the maintenance of the building. Because we've had the town pay for a new, one time we had an oil leak in the oil tank downstairs, and Westmore, who was in the trust and the BOS at the time, was like, we'll replace the oil tank for you. Like, not a big deal. We'll just do that. Great. That was, something to do. This is, I forget, I'm just looking at my quotes. I think we said go for the JP is $7,369. Great. So either you guys do it, we could ask the Friends. There is, I know it's being recorded, so I'm going to be polite right now. The Friends have had a change in leadership, and it's a hiatus for them. They need some time. Not really working for the trustees of the library if they need time, because we have this issue. I can go and ask them, right? It's no question. But I first started with you guys and saying, hey, we talked about this in the fall. We didn't have the quotes, right, pulled together. last meeting, Hobie asked, did we budget for it? Jack and I thought we did. We did not. Actually, it wasn't with you guys. It was this meeting on June.
With the Bill Meserve and I. 'Cause-
Yeah, we constantly were like, "Doc, we talked about it. Didn't we put it in the budget?"
I remember there was conversations in a couple of meetings about,
Yeah, so it didn't wind up in the budget. I think we cut it, so our budget was low.
What transpired is the heating system was the point of discussion in the replacement. It was not the air conditioning. So we talked about that. And if you remember, I kind of pushed hard to get that included, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked, and let me digress here for a second, the reason I ask about the Friends of the Library, from what I've been able to ascertain, by the structure, they are allowed to do that. As like, I'll get into it as far as our building maintenance fund not being able to accept donations towards the building maintenance fund. But I'm just throwing that out because that's one option to seriously explore. The second option is, and the considerations come down on this. So the building maintenance fund in March of 2025, we filled that, we put $20,000 into it. And before the
It's town hall fund.
town hall, or not town hall, building maintenance fund.
You put 20,000 into that.
Yes. So, and then we had $1,854.93 prior to the March 2025 vote, which gave us $21,854.93. Since then, we have spent $2,500 up on 399 Piscassic to clean up that property that the town now owns. So that takes us down to $19,354. Along those lines, we have a general government maintenance fund, which we budgeted at $2,500. And after doing numerous furnace repairs in the town hall, we're down to $11.64. Which brings me to a little digression, but it segues into the next issue on the masonry repair. We've seen some estimates, and it's going to cost some serious money to take care of all the masonry issues.
Here,
If we did not have that going on, I think we could easily support taking care of the air conditioning at the library. But this is a structural issue. And I would offer, as you said on that June meeting between yourself and Jack and Bill and I, if you needed to, you could mitigate it through the summer with window air conditioners. Okay, that's not the most ideal situation, but considering the financial constraints, I'm kind of like leaning to that or towards having the friends jump in. Now, what I would suggest to the board and to the board of trustees for the library is over the next 2 months, do a complete in-depth review of the HVAC situation at the library and incorporate talking to vendors and installers, incorporating units that will cover both heating and air conditioning. And there's many options out there and variables which you can do. So now you're possibly working one unit instead of two separate units. It's brand new. And then if you can come to that and present a comprehensive solution to the select board, I will most assuredly support a warrant article to cover that in March.
yeah, so that was kind of my thought process too, to be honest with you. I mean, I think we have to just explore it with the friends and say, hey, my question was to the state. My question was only to the state was, because there's a lot of new people, right? I've been around a little while, but I'm not going to say I'm perfect at this. Is that allowed? I think the answer is yes. I'll get more definitive answer. As I read it and understand it from everything I get online, it's yes, it's a town building. Yeah, it's maintenance, but it's not capital, it's real maintenance. And there's that weird line of like, because we have a maintenance budget.
Let me differentiate there between maintenance and new. Because
Right.
that's a player. And I think to do any maintenance on this, and I think it would be prudent again, to do the research, come forward with a solid proposal that defines and solves the problem comprehensively. So we don't have to deal with it for another 15 or 20 years.
I know, and I don't disagree with that, Hope. So I think what I thought of doing, for sure, I just was kind of typing out things, right? For sure, there's a building maintenance fund. Sounds like it's down to $11. Check.
No, let's be clear about that. That $11 is left is at the $2,500 line item that we put into the budget. We the warrant article for maintenance, the town maintenance fund. Okay, but the masonry work is going to take.
Yeah, I got it.
Gonna eat it up.
Yeah, so that's easy. I get that, right? And Mark, I think you had brought that up on one of the meetings. So that, I was like, okay, so for FY, we had kind of discussed this, but I was also thinking the same thing, probably. A warrant article for FY 26. Sure. It could be just be option A, just air conditioning, option B, everything.
I would highly encourage you. How old is the furnace system?
It's old.
Yeah, and I just wanted the answer on the record.
Yeah,
They need to be brought up to 2025, 2026. And I think it would be more prudent for the town to bite the bullet in 2026 with the voters approving a warrant article. And then it's taken care of and it's not going to be an issue.
yeah.
It's 15, 20.
I think you can go get some, the other option, yes, you talk, the window units. There you go, buy
It's an interim solution.
2 or 3,
So I can donate.
as long as you don't want to get rid of them.
Just,
So we've got some windows, we can do that. And that's what Brittany hit that. It sounds funny because Hobie had also mentioned that the library is a great place. I know Natalie, wife, used this as like, hey, I'll take the kids over there. You know why? It's cool. Air conditioning.
And that is one of
And that's one of the things Hobie had mentioned to me. Is like, it could be a senior cooling center. Technically, it already, I ran that by. I was like, Brittany was like, it is.
except when it's not working.
There's that. And that's a cool, then it's a tanning center.
Nicely done.
So,
Because the other thing is, if you opened the firehouse before and used the upstairs, but now we're seniors, we're talking about getting the firehouse open, getting them upstairs, and it can be a challenge. So that's why the idea of using the library as a designated cooling facility solves a lot of problems because of the access from the rear and the front steps are only a couple high
No, well, we have access from
from the rear.
Yeah, you totally do. So I thought that's a good thing, but it is a real issue. We did have to, just so you guys know, we did have to close for a day because it's like,
boiling
it
hot.
got too hot. It wasn't boiling. Then she brought over an air conditioning. I think that was the next day, or maybe the same day. Hobie came over
It
with,
was because we had the
so yeah, and it was like cooled down. It's like, great. I think it does something, but it's just tight. So we do have to look at it. I said, okay, let's replace as maintenance. I thought, okay, a furnace seems more like, a bigger deal, a warrant article. I mean, I don't know how much it's gonna cost. I have no idea. Double what we're talking? I have no idea. I have no idea. We're not doing the ducts over, somebody has suggested these things called splits. I think you don't have one in here.
Or a heat pump would, if
Heat pump.
it's running through the ducts.
and you can get a split that does heat also depends. But that's why I would really encourage you to go out and not just just shotgun the reputable brokers and dealers and get them to come in and give you solid opinions and then bend their ear and find out why is this good? Why isn't that good? And come up with the best solution and come back to the board and say, here's what we want to do. And I would wager the board will probably support a warrant article on that
Yeah.
without issue. So you can solve the problem with window units.
Which I think we can do
In the, I
donuts.
don't know if I'm speaking out of line here, but if I remember correctly, there is a considerable fund that the library has, right? But
That's the
how,
friends. That's the friends unit.
yeah,
That's a friend. So if you,
how that gets tapped is the question.
well, that's an interesting question because it's coming up. We're having a meeting, our trustee meeting is tomorrow, right? All are welcome. It's a public meeting, just like this. So we're talking about that because we really want to align with friends. Hey, here's how this money can be spent. But my big question is, hey, if there's and people have asked on the Friends board, hey, can you do an addition? Can you do something? Of course you can. I don't make the rules of the town, but that's also why we did the survey to see what the town needs were, not the wants, right? The town did respond. We have that data. We brought it before the board. I don't think you were on the board at that time, but I don't know if you didn't participate in the survey, but we have that data and it would cost a lot of money. There is a build it and they will come kind of philosophy. That's always an option. I don't think that's particularly for me yet. Understanding it, I kind of feel like the needs are more important than the wants. But aside from that, if you did some sort of addition, well, we got away with our current addition, the small reading room, fit the scale of the furnace. Because that would have literally, back in the day, doubled it. That's the last time I looked at it. As well, Our biggest problem has nothing to do with heating, nothing to do with cooling, nothing to do with additions, nothing to do with parking. It's all about staffing. If you build it bigger, we need more staff. And we need a staff, we need full-time staff. And with full-time staff, which comes benefits. So I'm putting that on the record again, just to be clear, because that's what it is. That's how we are competitive. I love this to do that. If the town wants it, that's great. I'll support it. Like, that's our challenge. Hiring people who want to stay here. It sounds very familiar to what Chief has to deal with hiring people to do the police job as a stepping stone to the next ladder.
I would offer to you, I think the will of the voters was made clear in the last election for your position in regards to serious money spending. So just leaving it at that. The other point I will throw out, if you can do some research on the Friends of the Library Trust Fund, I will, with the concurrence of the board, deal with Derek Durbin, and just to ensure that we've got our T's crossed and our I's dotted, and we're not breaching any protocols.
Right. I don't want to breach any protocols as RSA. So there's Terry Knowles. If you go, she's very well known. She's kind of retired. She's consulting now. I spoke to her years ago, and she's a great resource for all things state libraries and how monies can flow between towns, friends. They're a 501c. Their mission is to raise money for the library and support the library. So it's pretty clear. It's pretty black and white, right? But it gets a little vague, like, especially if you don't know, as I do. You learn, right? We're all volunteering. And I'm like, we can figure something out. I think come to some conclusions. So
Has to be a parallel at some other library that has a fund. What have you done in the past with scenario like this?
The only codicil I would throw out to that is the language in the Friends drafting documents, and it is a private entity, and to ensure that there's no language which precludes it from doing so. So even though there's it'd be a repetitive of another entity, there may be specific language to the contrary. And it's absolutely essential we ensure that is not the case before we engage in something that was going to breach an RSA, protect the town.
And then, it's just like they've gone to the Brook, which I think you guys all know about. The Brook gives you a percentage of the money. They've been doing this for a number of years. It's not enough to do a major renovation. It's just frankly not, right? And then even if you did it, to my former point, it's like you can't. If the staff it, build it. You build something, whatever size. Like, what are you putting in it? How are you furnishing? I've seen this with firehouses and police stations over the years. So it's a real issue, and we've got to tackle that. We've been upfront with them, but again, they're in transition, so. I don't know when we're going to meet with them. We're supposed to meet tomorrow night. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So we got something to do with that.
The short term, it would be great if you could reach out to them to say, can we replace this AC unit with a heat pump AC?
Yeah, maybe they need people. I don't know.
The only caution I would offer on that, Mark, and it goes back to
Because it's an improvement. It might be
but
improvement.
that and the proposal I talked about of doing 2 months serious study and coming together with a massive one package solves the problem instead of doing, well, we're just going to do an AC type unit and then now we're basically duplicating labor and we're duplicating purchases.
Or a heat pump.
Yeah.
It's a question of do you want to duplicate, right? And I think the window units will work for the interim, probably the next one. Then we put a one.
We probably got 7 or 8 weeks left, because we usually get a week or so in September. But it's already coming.
It's snow next week. Don't worry. It's New England.
Right. Well, if I'd like to get a sense of the board, then are we good with the concept of requesting or asking you to look at the option of doing a solid research and study for solving the problem in totality and then coming to us and addressing it, and we'll review it and put it together for a warrant article?
That would include actual costs, right? Because it has to for a one.
Well, you could set it, so if he comes back and it's $22,000, we could set the warrant article for 25, and then we could figure out a way to deal with it.
It's gonna be, like you saw in the one quote, it was 30 days. Nobody's gonna go long because parts are coming from overseas. That's what the guy said. So he's like, I can't quote.
Mitsubishi stuff's coming from overseas.
So there's that. And I would have to check with our board to say, hey, Jack and Brendan, you agree to. I think that they will. I don't think this is going to be any kind of big problem.
But just in order to vote on it, it has to have a dollar amount attached to it.
Right. And we inflated a little bit.
So then does the board concur with that approach?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Missing anything? I'm just kind of.
I think that covers it, Win. So you'll solve the interim problem with the window units,
I will take you up.
Yep.
and,
Drop them off tomorrow. Perfect.
and you'll have something for us in September, a comprehensive program, agreement, project scope, et cetera, that will address the problem, both heating and air conditioning.
That's fine.
And then if it passes the scrutiny of the board, we can post it for a warrant article.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Good with that, Mark?
Okay, not to, just to ask this again, though. Can the Friends Fund pay for this in the interim, for a heat pump and an AC unit?
No.
We don't know. That's what
We don't know that.
They won't give you an answer in short.
So that, I want to be fair. I think we have to go back and say, hey, I think from what I've read online,
I don't want to belabor this. It's hot.
no, I think it is a question mark. You're asking a question. I want to know the answer. Jack wants, the three board members was like, how do we know for sure? Like,
Because you were pretty adamant when we met on the rain gardens that was not a viable option.
yeah. And after reading more, I'm like,
Yes.
maybe it is.
And I just
They'll go, hey, we'll give you
This
this.
is a replacement. They're a replacement.
I just want
Want
to
to
make
live for another 10 years. We don't have to spend a lot of money. I'm like, I kind of, if you know me, I'd like to fix it once and fix it right. So I do feel that way. I feel like the roof, when we did the roof over, it was like, I don't want to go over cheap roof and be fixing it in 5 years. That's painting, whatever, the brick mason, we've done the same thing. I want it done, the stairs, do it right.
And my only concern with that, Mark, is not even whether I want to ensure there's no legal jeopardy or risk to the town. And once I'm sure of that, and if they could willing to do it, I mean, I'll explore it with Derek. But I think we as a board need to protect the town from any legal ramifications.
But to the point that you're making, take it a step further. The friends have raised, and we've had some friends, not all the board members, say, hey, can we do an addition? Straight out, like you can go online, they're 501c3. How do you do this? Look up Friends of the Library, Paul Memorial Library.
Okay, but let me, because I want to move on here.
Yeah.
But one's a need and the other one's a want.
Yeah.
I got it,
So
but I would do it.
understand what they want to do. I want to move ahead here. Wayne.
But I looked at that and it comes to the question, the root of the question. Can you take Friends' money and apply it to a capital expenditure? I don't know that. I'd like to know that clearly.
That's the question I'm raising.
Yeah.
Just the other thing, looking at those, proposals that you received, I will wager that the board will say there's not gonna be any permit fees from the town to do the work on this. Because I noticed that was in a couple of places where they said, went on for a paragraph about permits, and you go, that's not gonna be an issue, in my opinion, but it's up to the board, right? So, you got more?
Well, I'd like to get paid for my big signs, my big landing signs, my invoices, my bumpers.
I signed off on that.
Well, how do you send a check like through the snail mail? Hey, Moby.
It was a snail.
So,
I will follow up, I'll follow,
Don't make fun of me, yeah.
I'll follow up with Donna.
Not the end of the world, but you know. Fun.
All righty.
All right.
Any other questions?
Back on, finally on the library, I'll let you know, we have our trustee meeting tomorrow. We are meeting, we also, I think we have Scott Campbell coming, he's consulting with us, but he's assistant director at Stratum. He's been helping us over the last couple of years with strategy sessions. And that's what we're trying to do with the Friends, create a strategy for, hey, what is the need for the town? We did the survey 2 years ago. We got delayed from the remediation project, but I think I really want to get back on that and create a more of a strategy. If the town votes and says, hey, gives us a survey, I'd rather come to this group with data and say, this is what the results are. Sir. Right now, if you look at the survey results that we shared, it says, yeah, the size is adequate. What we need is a full-time director. I'm like, crumbs, because that's even harder. That's just as hard, because that would come with be competitive in the neighborhood, some sort of benefits. Not just, they could be sworn like time off, they pay time off, which we do for Brittany and stuff, but like it could be more. Because that's what we're competing against. Okay, part-time library, people are like, we want full-time, okay. You know what I mean? So trying to listen to the needs, but come with data and not just wants, but needs. That's what we're trying to do.
talk to Donna.
Do need it. Hey,
Thank you.
cool, thank you.
All right, thank you. Whit. We do have another, land use change tax, and again, it's a current use issue. You should have a copy of it with you. Yeah. Any questions on that one? This is the, Connor Lane property. Okay, I'll make a motion. We accept the land use
Second.
change. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Take care of both. Thank you, man. Wow. Mark is signing, open items, and I've got a few here, and then I'll turn it over to y'all if you have some. Mr. Walksmooth had filed a lawsuit against the town in regards to a ZBA action. That has been dismissed by the court and is not subject to any further activity by the courts. Badger Park update. So if you've noticed Badger Park, a number of the trees have been trimmed in the back, all the brush is cut out. And there's been work done around the stones and around the belt. There's a number of items that have been identified. Thank you, sir. For future. Now, one of the thought processes that I had a discussion with a number of the veterans, and I've talked to the folks that initiated this action, the two Debs. And I've talked to a number of the veterans, and I've made a suggestion to them, and I've gotten feedback from them about having the Veterans Association. We have about 70 veterans in town, accept responsibility financial and for management of Veterans Park. There's a number of things that need to be done. The cupola needs repair. There's some plaques that need repair. They are going to be pressure washed. We have tentatively have a contractor who's willing to lay hardscape there, and the only cost being that the materials are provided for. One of the things we do not have is we do not have any recognition of those who served since Vietnam. There's a real nice stone in the back that had been talked about using for identification with Badger Park with a plaque on it. But it's also one of the options to discuss is use that for plaquing for all those who have served in Gulf War, Gulf II, Afghanistan, Iraq, and then figure out another solution. But these are all up in air. So I drafted a 2-page letter to the veterans. That'll be going out this week with suggestions and ideas, looking for their feedback and to see if they're amenable to coming together on this and establishing like a 501 and setting up a board and just basically being responsible for the maintenance of that park so that it maintains the integrity and the respect and the sacred nature that it deserves. I expect that I will see a good response, and I've had a number of them already tell me, you tell me how much and I'll write whatever I can to cover these expenses. So that's where it's at now. If that all comes to fruition, then there will have to be coordination between the select board and this entity as it develops so that this entity is chartered by the board and is responsible for maintaining and funding the upkeep of that piece of property. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's in work. And I think it will fly. I'm very optimistic that it's not going to be an issue. Get that done. Any questions on that, ladies and gentlemen? Okay.
Good idea.
Masonry work. So I've gotten a couple things on this. I've gotten 2 bids. I was supposed to have the third one today. I'll show you the second one. I do not want to release these yet because of the process. The third bid was supposed to come in today. He was unable to do it. He got caught up in the heat and they got behind on the project they were working. So I think it's going to take, and I'm contemplating maybe even getting a couple more to get, because we're starting just to get us a better options and better choice. Now, in regards to, because I did some legwork on this, Mark, and then I talked to Derek, I went back to the 1998 original warrant article that established it. And there's no language in there, such as in the celebration committee allowing donation of funds. And Derek confirmed that it's not viable for the funds.
Cannot be.
Cannot be. It's a negative ghostwriter on that one. So that's going to put a good dent in it. And I think we can work the situation once we get at least one more estimate. And then I think it would be prudent to maybe get an additional 1 or 2 and then start bouncing off. Well, why is yours say this and what's so strong on this one? Why don't I need to do this, or why don't we need to do that, or whatever, just so that we make sure that we're meeting our fiduciary responsibility to spend the money wisely. Again, I see it as a need. It is not a want. And that's status on that. Any questions on that? Anything I can answer or guidance that you want to suggest?
No, just the selection process on who's doing the work. I guess that would be the.
Yeah. Okay, so we got that covered. Any status reports from either of you folks on, because again, we just had a meeting on the 26th, so there's really nothing going. Okay, revenues and expenses. Take a look at that. We've done the checks, all those are fine. That'll make Donna happy. Oh, so on the Badger Park, all the trees were limbed and the small stuff was cut down, and Brian did go in there and he had one of his guys chip all that up. Louise Williams was kind enough to let us shoot it over the bank behind it onto her property. And Brian, if my memory serves me correctly, was going to put that under summer maintenance, so there would be no additional costs for the improvement on Badger Park.
Are there still 3 trees, maple and 2 cherries that need to come down?
They do need to come down. The maple is in extremely bad shape. I took down what I could reach with a pole saw, and the cherries will be easy to drop, but then they need to be stumped. And the thought process that's been kicked around with everybody's involved is like putting 3 or 4 or maybe even just 2 maples, but setting them further back so they're even further removed from the road and salt damage from 85 as Main Street in the wintertime. So, and that's like this decorative cherry out front is in really bad shape too. So that probably needs to come down and replace. Nice maple in there and look good, but I'm just spitballing there. All right. I was digressing, but revenues and expenses. We did, for what it's worth, there was a tree that I was speaking to Sam Burchell yesterday, and there was a tree that came down in the cemetery across from the school and apparently did some damage in there, and he will be up able to look at it this weekend, and they'll figure out how they're going to resolve that matter. So that's something within the auspices of cemetery folks. Wayne, are you guys all set now on the ATV? There's no future expenses. I mean, I know it's coming out of your budget, fire department and emergency management, but is it ready, good to go?
No, fix today, and then we had to have 2-week programming video.
Yeah, so that 100-watt job.
Created a fire department bank, and a police department bank.
Okay.
So they came last week to do that. We haven't seen
Okay.
pushing for the last 2 weeks.
And then you're good to go. Oh, you're really good to go now if you need it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, one of the open items is I had received from a couple of folks that the word has gotten out in one of our abutting communities that they can dump their cardboard. So, I went, and had a sign made that says Newfields residents only. Under under surveillance, please take notice, and we'll be getting that up in the next 3 or 4 days. So it's, and we'll see what happens to the cardboard load when we put that sign up. Apparently it was on the next door, Exeter, and on one of the Newfields page or Newmarket pages. So.
Hmm.
All right, that cover, any questions on the,
No.
all right. Mark, have you got anything else?
Nope, not yet, not yet. We're working on changing out the website, which is getting moved to a new program. I just had to get Sue, and I think Keisha, you might have looked at the choices. I don't know if you had looked with,
I guess.
you looked at it.
That's Sue's.
Yeah. So she had chosen one of the templates, and then they're going to make that change. Want to see what the, what's entailed. It's tied in with the streaming, et cetera. So, follow up with Sue, this week, just to, and with, Civic Plus, just to get an answer on when it's actually going to get the flip of the switch.
Will there be any additional costs in 25?
No, 2027 will be when the new costs will kick in.
Ballpark number on that?
4,000, 2027.
Approximately 4K.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, have you got anything?
The acoustics are so bad, you know, I didn't really hear what you were saying about stones. But that stone that sits in the back of the car, the rectangle,
Mm-hmm.
Caleb is gonna come and step that tomorrow.
I would hold off on that. That would be my recommendation. Because did you hear what I said about that may be a good stone to use for the Gulf 1, Gulf 2, Iraq, Afghanistan, veterans plots?
Here.
Yeah,
So you have to be
I think that,
for that.
oh, yeah, it would be because, I mean, that's pretty small stone. Was that 8 feet anyway? I think it's 8 feet. I measured it, but I don't remember. I just would like to explore that option instead of having to go get another stone and maybe use that triangle one that's just sitting there and putting the plaque on that for the center. Does that make sense?
For sign.
Yes, for the sign for Badger Park. Yeah, I would really encourage having Caleb hold off on that.
Okay.
Okay,
Planning to be
because it would, I don't want to rush into something, make a move and then go, oh, we could have done better with that. And that's why I want to get it so we're coordinating all aspects of who's doing what. So everybody's in the loop on this. Okay,
there. He's gonna bring his lift to do the flagpole.
gotcha.
I was stuck yesterday and Sherwin Williams, I got the prime
Excellent.
paid. And we'll just sandpaper the areas that have
Hold on it.
all on. And roll
Okay, excellent.
it. He said he'd do that Sunday because I don't know operating.
Yeah, you got, once you get up there, you got to know how to be able to work it to get back down. Yeah. So
So I feel bad it's taking time for me from his family to do.
it's knowing Caleb, that's a contribution to the town that,
He is looking at. So it's summer and.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of things going on.
are you gonna do you want me to give him a call tonight?
Um, I can text him, I mean,
And if he's got any questions, I just don't, am I making sense about not moving too fast right now until we kind of get a handle and we have a conciliatory meeting where we can sit down and come together and everybody, for the players who's going to be involved? Okay. Okay.
I mean, really, we're looking at it as done, everything done. Before Veterans Day.
Well, that's now who's the we for the record? You and Deb?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some coordination with the board on the park, on the projects. Okay,
So Mike Peltzar is coming to do the
excellent. Because they're not going to go anywhere. That's,
washing.
Yep.
And it isn't getting beat up.
his business keeps booming, so that kind of slows things down.
Kind of at a standstill, so.
And-
Can get in and do his work.
Well, we've got to raise the funds. The funds have to be raised for that first. For the hardscape material. So I guess what it's going to boil down to, concurrently with this aspect of it that I'm sending out to the veterans to see where that goes, and concurrently, there has to be coordination with the select board, so we know, even if I recuse myself, theoretically, I mean, so that we know what is transpiring at Badger Park, and that it has everything it's right now is maintenance. You know, the flagpole is maintenance. The pressure washing the stones is maintenance. The improvements to the cupola are maintenance. But everything that's going to take money and is not donation, I think it needs to be brought to the board, and the board needs to sign off on it. Would you, Catherine, concur with that? Mark?
Is to follow a process.
Yeah, I mean, because we just can't let it go without having oversight.
So anything that's
A permanent change,
gonna.
the site is, yes. And if I can get these guys and gals to fund it and come up with like I referenced earlier, to come up with a plan of action. And then if the board approves on it, then those things can move expeditiously. But I guess what I'm saying is we can't have and this is no insinuation or aspersion on you, but we just can't have citizens coming in and doing things to structural changes to town property without running through the board. Make sense?
Like, would you want Darren to come in?
Yes. And we're gonna need to see the plan. And then the funding, I think I can get the veterans to fund it. Well, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm cautiously optimistic. But I just need to stress that projects other than say painting or pressure washing the stones, or even the trees coming down, we need to be in the loop on all these decisions. Because the bottom line is, we're responsible to the town to make sure, and I'm not saying it wouldn't be, but it's done up to standards and it has the approval of the town. Okay, make sense? Thank you, ma'am. Anything else? Okay, thank you for coming out in the heat. Yeah, one more thing, chief.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the Main Street safety meeting and advance Department of Transportation. We were basically waiting for them to respond, and they did respond yesterday, which was after the 4th weekend. So their earliest date for a meeting is at 9 a.m. Thursday, July 24th. So I took that meeting just because it's been delayed a little bit, no fault of the town and the police department. So I took that earliest one, and I just wanted to run that by you folks. And then basically we will email the residents who originally came to this meeting, and we'll send out an email to Sue's email list. So anybody that wants to.
Such as John Hayden and Ray.
Yes, I heard that very last meeting. Yeah. Some people did not know of the original meeting and, whatever decisions are made, if any, could affect other people that live along this road.
It will affect the whole town.
Other ones, yeah, so, I know ideally 9 a.m. on a Thursday is not ideal, but we are also at the mercy of the state. So,
Here in the town hall,
it'll be here at the town hall.
and you can get Billy to set up a,
We'll talk about that, what we don't want, right, the circus. State sending the whole team here, and, we will discuss that with them, how they want that in. This is them, this is gonna be them. We are hosting because it is our town, but other than the enforcement part of it, a lot of the recommendations, suggestions, concerns are out of our hands. Police department anyway.
fully understand.
We would notify the public. I don't know how many people show up. I don't know how good this is with a lot of people here. That is all stuff that can be discussed, with my IT guy.
Okay, my initial response to that is, even if the DOT is here, the aspect of it becoming a circus, transparency is a keynote that we're working with on the board. And that this is an issue that will affect every citizen in the town. And that's why we spent all this time and money to bring this up. So I would strongly say this needs to be
Recorded.
I agree with that. Obviously, we know the acoustics of this room. What we don't want is somebody trying to partake in this at home and they can't hear.
well, then it is what it is.
So, but I will talk to Bill about that tomorrow.
Plus, the other thing is, it'll be archived and then people can see it who could not attend. So I think it's absolutely essential that it be recorded and that it be set up for the archives.
So we'll send this out tomorrow with Stu's email list.
Okay.
As part of our email list, they'll be notified, everybody that's listening tonight.
And then the two Facebook pages.
This is public notice.
Yeah.
in this meeting.
and we'll post it, since it is open to the public in the town office, and then we will email the group who was here a month ago. Then hopefully the word gets to everyone. We know that not everybody can make it ideal, but
It is what it is.
you know, if we pick the number, it's sorry.
It is what it is.
Pick another day, you know, in the afternoon, you know, somebody else would have the conflict. It's just, it's time of year. It's just gonna be difficult to get everybody.
Oh, thank you for getting the state here.
Yeah, good luck with that.
you.
Anything else that anybody has?
No.
In that case, I will make a motion, sir.
I said, all good.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.